Hey guys, what's up? It's Chef Kev Cudi here. We're back with another episode of Chef Kev Cudi. How are you guys doing today? It's Sunday. We got the playoffs football. We got Super Bowl, which is 2 weeks away. Now today, on this episode, we're gonna make some T-bone steak. I know everyone's like steak, but this is one of my favorite things to make. I've been making steak for a very long time, so I'm very excited to share this with you guys. Okay, so this morning I went to the butcher and I got my steak. Now if you guys look, it's my T-bone steak that's already been cleaned. I cleaned it with warm water, lemon, with some lemon juice and some vinegar. Okay, I use very simple ingredients to season my steak: kosher salt, regular ground black pepper. You gotta add some garlic powder, some olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. We have some red cooking wine here, but you can also use red wine. Any type of red wine that you want to use, you can use this too. Okay? So let's begin seasoning our steak. Like I said, we got our steak here. Okay? We're gonna begin with some kosher salt. Okay? Now, kosher salt. Now we can just put it in there like this. Hold up. Kosher salt. You want to make sure you have a good amount on both sides. Bring the camera more. Make sure you bring this up on both sides. We got our kosher salt that we're going to use to season this. Okay? Both sides. Make sure you get a good amount on both sides of our kosher salt. Okay? Now, take this out the way. We got our ground black pepper that we're going to add to this, alright? Just a little bit on both sides. A little bit on both sides. Okay, that's done. Now, some garlic powder. Okay. Add some garlic powder in this. Both sides. You gotta make sure you get both sides in there. Okay. So I'm done with this. You only want to season a little bit. You don't want to season it too much. Now we're just gonna add just a little bit of olive oil on both sides. You don't want to add too much of this. Just a little bit on both sides. Just a little dabble here and there. Now flip it over because we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay? There we go. Now once we're done with this, okay, you have our red cooking wine that we're going to add too. Okay? Now, like I said, you can use regular red wine, or you don't even have to use wine at all. I like to use wine because it does a great. It adds an extra taste to the steak that I like to do. That just tastes great. So we got a red cooking wine in here, okay? Alright, we can just put a little bit more. You don't have to put too much. Now this is when the fun part kicks in, okay? Now with our hands, we're gonna get up in there. We're gonna get up in there and mix this. We're gonna mix this bad boy. Get up in there, make sure everything's all seasoned. Everything gotta be all seasoned up in here, okay? Alright. All seasoned. All up in here. Make sure everything's all seasoned. Okay. Once everything is seasoned, okay, what I like to do is I like to take my steak and put it inside a Ziploc bag, okay? Put it inside the Ziploc bag. And the juices that was created when making the steak, you know, you got the red wine, you got the garlic up in here, you got the olive oil. You're gonna put this in there. I'll seal this up. I leave it in the fridge overnight, marinate it. And when I'm ready to make it, I take it out. And this is a very important step, guys. Whenever you make steak, right? Whenever you make steak, you always put it in the fridge, and whenever you're gonna make it, take it out 30 to 45 minutes. You don't want to cook something cold on a pan, on a cast iron pan. Very important. So I have my steak here, right? Seasoned oil. I'm gonna put this in the fridge. Okay. Now this is one I prepared yesterday. Okay. All right. So this is our steak that we just marinated. That has the olive oil, the kosher salt, kosher pepper, and some cooking wine or some red wine. So I like to keep it in a bag and have it marinate overnight. And before, when I take it out, like maybe 30 to 45 minutes before I start cooking the steak, I'll take it out so it can go to room temperature. This is the steak I marinated yesterday. I already took it out. It's at room temperature. As you see the salt, the pepper, you see the oil, and also put the red cooking wine in here. If you look over here towards my stove area, I have a cast iron pan here, which is hot. We're gonna do a process called searing, where the pot gets very, very, very hot, and we add a little bit of olive oil, 2 to 3 minutes on each side. We pop it in the broiler for 6 to 7 minutes, depending on how you like your steak. Let me know in the comments how you like your steak. I like my steak medium well. Okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of olive oil here. Just a little bit, you don't need that much. We're gonna do a process called searing the steak. Okay, just a little bit. Okay? So make sure this thing gets incorporated in all areas of the pan. Okay? If you notice that the pan has some grill marks there, which is great because we want our steak to have some grill marks on it. Okay? We're gonna let this heat up. Okay? Now, once this thing gets completely hot, this is when we're gonna add our steak and sear it for 2 to 3 minutes on each side. All right, now that we got our cast iron pan nice and hot with olive oil, you can tell that the pan is very, very hot. So once it gets to that point, you may see some smoke coming out of there, which is good because we are searing the steak. So we're gonna take our T-bone steak, right? You wanna hear that sizzle. You know, if you hear that sizzle, you're doing the right thing. Look, let's see if we hear the sizzle. Perfect. That's what we wanna hear. We wanna hear that sizzle. Remember, 2 to 3 minutes on each side. So right now, it's 2:11. We can flip it over in 2 minutes. We're gonna hear that sizzle. Alright, so it's been 2 to 3 minutes. Let's look at our steak. We're gonna flip it over. Oh, look at that. You see those grill marks? That's perfect, that's what we want. After 2 to 3 minutes, after 3 minutes on this side, we're gonna pop it in our broiler for about 8 to 9 minutes, 10 to 11, depending on how you like your steak. Like I said, I like mine medium well, so I'm gonna put this in the broiler on high for 8 minutes. Alright, so it's been 2 to 3 minutes now. Let's take this off our heat. Okay? Let's turn this off, because we're already done with the stove part of it. Now, if you look at the steak, see the nice grill marks. Now we're gonna take it. We have our broiler that's been on high. We're gonna put this in here for about 8 minutes. In the broiler for about 8 minutes. For about 8 minutes, we're gonna put this in here. Okay? Let's just set our timer for about 8 minutes. Remember, if you like steak more the well done side, then you could do it maybe 10 minutes. I like mine a little bit more softer, a little pink in it. So we're just gonna put that in there for 8 minutes. Once it comes out, we let it rest for about 5 minutes, and then we just eat from there. Alright, so it's been about 8 minutes in our broiler. Let's take our steak out to see how it looks. Ooh. Look at this right here. You can see all the juices and all that come out. What we're gonna do is, next, we're gonna put our steak on our cutting board. We're gonna let the steak rest for about 5 minutes. Let the steak rest for about 5 minutes, and then we're gonna slice them and eat them. So after we've taken our steak out the broiler, we have it right here. We're just gonna let it sit on the cutting board for about 5 minutes before we start slicing it. It just smells so good. So we got our steak here. We took it out the broiler and we put it on the cutting board. Remember, we put it in the broiler on high for about 8 minutes. Now we're gonna let it rest for 5 minutes before we start slicing this. We leave it on our cutting board. It smells so good. I can't wait to taste this. And everything was just so quick and simple, guys. So I want you guys to try this recipe out. Zoom in. So after about 5 minutes, let's cut up our steak. Now you can see our steak here. Now one thing I've always learned is that when you're gonna cut steak, you wanna cut against the grain. What that means is the grains of the steak, you look at the lines that the steaks are in. If they're going this way, you're gonna cut this way. So if they're going that way, you're gonna cut this way. This steak, the grains are going left to right, so we're gonna cut it this way. Let's see how this comes out. Now remember, we're trying to get from medium well. A little bit of pink. This looks more on the. Okay, there we go. And the steak. Let's get a little taste of this. And as you can see, steak. Everything just looks so good. Let me just taste it. Steak is nice and soft. Seasoned well with the salt, with the kosher salt, with the pepper, with garlic powder. Let me know in the comments what you guys want me to make next. The steak came out great, it came out perfect, came out just the way I want. Soft, seasoned well, it just tastes great. You can have this with rice, mashed potatoes, vegetables, whatever you guys want to do. Let me know in the comments what your favorite dish is, and maybe I could just feature that on the next episode. Right now we're at 52 subs. The goal is to get 100 subscribers. So like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm gonna leave a link right here in the description. Share your video. Thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna enjoy the steak. Happy Sunday. Have a good one. Stay safe.